What up, guys? This midweek video was about the stem splitter in Logic 11.2, and today I'm going to take that sample that I used, process and arrange those melodies differently to cook up a beat. Let's get it. So here's that sample from that midweek video. Before anything else, we're just going to stem split that. Get rid of the instruments that aren't in the sample. Let's hear them. I'll hold on to that for like an intro. Hit Control G, normalize those volumes. Okay, so besides the bass, it's these two stems. Super clear guitar. Super mystical. So let's separate these out, get rid of that bus, and have two layers for the stems. Alright, we got the stems here, now let's start processing them. So it's in C# minor, which I actually really love this key, so I'm just going to keep it at that. And this is 140 BPM. Definitely got to get some compression on these guitar layers. Much cleaner. Duck some of the harsh transients. Clean. Now a little bit of super VHS, mostly for the magic part, which is a super dope chorus. Turn drift off, a little bit of reverb, a little saturation, drag the mix down. I'm just gonna throw a trippy top line with Portal. Let's throw a Quantec room simulator, and the warped effects are super dope in that. This preset tab, and I'm just gonna flip through some of these. Alright, and then an EQ to clean up those frequencies at the tail end of the sample. If you want to save this chain of presets, hit X to bring up the mixer and go to the track you want to save, click the title, save channel strip setting as, and hit save. And where it says setting here, it'll show the new preset you made. And bam, same exact effect chain. Super dope little gem. When I mess with the levels of these samples and MIDI instruments, what I'm looking at is down here on the bottom left, and I'm looking for it to peak right around -12, maybe a little lower or higher depending on the beat. -12 is a good rule for melodies. Base how loud your drums are relative to that. That's what I do at least. Also, if the peak level jumps around and it's not very consistent, you might need to throw a little compression on there so the volumes are pretty relative to each other. Couple fades. Alright, now let's work on the second stem. Alright, sounds good. Now let's bounce that down so we don't have to use all those plugins taking up CPU. This is our Bell synth layer with the effects baked in. Sometimes if the melody is more high-pitched, it will sound louder than the lower-pitched ones, even though it might still be hitting at -12. Use your best judgment. Here's where we can get super creative, turn it from more of a loop flip to a collab melody to make it something even different. And hopefully it's lit. I'm gonna chop here and try reversing. I just hear the chops in my head, and sometimes they're dope. And I want to tape start that last chop. Make that a little bit less intense. Perfect. And throw fades on them, otherwise they will have little clicks and pops where you made the chops. Start messing with this layer now. Okay, I already have an idea. I want to rearrange the chops so it sounds more sampled. Turn that to scissors, hold Option, and click. And then let me just try pulling some of these back. Okay, I want to do it on some of them. Let's hear if this idea works. Just experimenting with different chops. I'm gonna make that more dramatic. Just pull that back a little bit at the ends. Tape start those last two chops just for fun, super subtly. Double that over. Yeah, I'm curious how this is gonna sound. Let's try pitching that down. Okay, I think I'm gonna use that low version of the bells, interchange them in the hook so that sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not. And I'll probably take away the high guitars during that part. I'll copy these over. This whole thing is going to be the hook melody. So let's just go ahead and bounce this all down into one audio track for the hook. Let's switch up for a second section. Using the main melody, flip it and make a B section, duplicate. That's hard. Yeah, that's really all it's gonna need. Super dope. Okay, so here are those final samples. And then that second part. Let's jump into some drums. From my Southpaw drum and loop kit. Hardest kit I've made by far. Link that down below. Let's just find some cool little sounds. Okay, claps clean. Now let's get a hat. Dope. And just grab an open hat and we'll be good to drop some patterns. Time for some hat rolls. Alright, you know the drill. Drop that into a MIDI pattern and sauce those rolls up. Alright, just finished up that hat pattern. That is gonna sound like this. Quick snare now. Okay, just delete that roll in the first half. Alright, time for some 808s. Clearly the Descent 808 is the one, in my opinion. And that's gonna sound like this. Yuck. Let's jump into a pattern. I'm gonna do that up a couple octaves so I make sure I hit the right notes. Stretch those out, crank the velocity, and drop it down. Okay. Just double that over, throw a tiny roll at the end. That'll do it. Here's that 808. We're going to keep it pretty similar to the first part with just some key changes. Let's get into it. So the open hats kind of advance a little bit. All right, and the last thing we're gonna do is make up a slightly different 808 section. Let's see how this sounds. Copy that over and barely change it. Good enough, and still similar to the first section, so it'll be consistent for a rapper. That's gonna sound like this. Okay, that'll take care of that sample flip beat. Hope you guys enjoyed. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and check out my kits below. Peace.
Xavier.